Welcome, everyone. It's Deanne Burley on the Deanne Burley show called The Detectors. And we're here at 2 o'clock. In fact, I'm sorry, 2 o'clock another time, not here, but it's after 3 going on 4. Sorry about the late start. But I've been doing some research, and I was kind of thrown back about some of the things that I had talked to individuals about the revisiting of the case of 9/11. And I'm going to cover those things today on this broadcast, and later on we're going to be on Truth Radio with John Awashalskis. But right now we're on Blog Talk, and we're also on another broadcast called Spreaker. And Spreaker links into YouTube, where you can pick this up, and also both go into iTunes, and it's hooked into other networks, and I have other things I'm hooked into too, so you can get the show at multi-levels of media. It goes into Facebook and Twitter and everything else I'm connected with as well. I've been on social media from the day it started. In fact, I started out doing this stuff on before social media, when there was BBS boards, and started talking to people. In fact, interesting enough, Art Bell was on BBS systems as well, way back in the day before it bloomed from being a programmer's talk line to what it is now, which is social media. So today, I'm going to cover some of the things that were brought up by Andrew Johnson from England, and some of the things I was looking at, and some of the other things that were sent to me that basically blew me away. Some of the things may not impact on you as much as it did me, but because I am an investigative journalist, I've seen a lot of things, and I put timelines together, and I saw something that just amazed me on the whole scenario, and something that I saw when I was in a filming for a very large-scale movie out here in Chicago. I was an extra, and I happened to see something during the time that they were making their movie here. Now, let's go back to what I heard Andrew Johnson say on the show. One of which was I had talked to him about how hard it was for me to get the former maintenance man with the World Trade Center to talk to me on the air. I talked to him once on the phone, and he briefly told me the same story everybody heard, that some men came to him and they had white jumper outfits on, and they asked him for the floor plans for the World Trade Center, evidently getting this right to do so from the Port Authority. And then, anyway, from what he had explained numerous times, that they were going into the washrooms every other floor, from what I remember, and he didn't know what they were doing. But that was during the time in the week that they had most of the building shut down. Shut down meaning that there was a situation that they were allowed to cut off the power in the building from that Friday on through the weekend. There were also no security levels in any of the towers during this time because they were doing something. Who knows what it was, but it was ordered through, from what I understand, allegedly the Port Authority. Now, here's the thing that blew me away. In this conversation, and you can go back and listen to the tape, and evidently there's enough evidence out there online to find out, but Rodriguez worked for the magician Randy. And I'm going to look and see if I can find anything on that, but he worked for the magician Randy. Now, Randy, if you recall, is the magician that I'm going to look and see if I can find this. Randy was the magician that would go around and debunk other magicians, saying that they were the acts and things that they put together were false flag, and he would come on and dispute their magic ability. And here it is right here in Wikipedia and Wikipedia. It says, jump to magician's assistance. As a young man, Rodriguez worked under the stage name as Rhodey as the assistant to the magician James Randy. And the fact somebody I know put that out there, which is Captain Dan Hanley. Hanley is a whistleblower that was with the folks with United Airlines, and find that very interesting that somebody worked with the magician Randy. Now, I'm going to go into the reason why I'm bringing this up, and you can see later on. Let me read what he says here. In this little bit that he put there, as a young man, Rodriguez worked under the name of Rowdy as the assistant to magician James Randy. A December 2005 article was published online where Rodriguez had basically had himself in good graces with Randy's target. And he was featured on TV in Puerto Rico, escaping from a chair and straitjacket while hanging from a burning rope. Now that's an illusion, right? Those are illusions that magicians do. Now, prior to 9/11, there was another magician that made the Empire, not the Empire State Building, but the Statue of Liberty vanish on television. Remember, I'm not sure which one, if it was Blaine or the other, but they made the Statue of Liberty vanish. You know, you saw it and it vanished. Again, this was televised. So again, the magic of TV, the magic of what you see and what you don't see is an illusion of the hand. But in these cases, we're talking about film where you can edit it, spice it, slice it, do whatever you want, and you can change images to whatever you want it to be. Now, if you go into my websites, I have images of folks dancing and doing different things. I've added pieces, taken away pieces, and I can do that swiftly, just using software, and I can use it through web design and pages. How interesting is it? It's very interesting. It's kind of an exciting technique, and it's getting to the point that we can do 3D, 4D imagery, and more. Look at some of the cartoons that are coming out. Like Despicable Me. These are 3, 4D concepts of new cartoons. And there's some of them that are so extensive you can't tell if it's a cartoon or if it's actually real people. There's been several out like that. Now, one of them, of course, is Avatar. Avatar has a kind of cross gender, but the more they do this, the more the technique gets more and more intense. Now, that is one thing. I want to talk about the illusionists and how illusionists can do things, and they can do things right in front of you, and they can do things in the magic of television, TV, and streaming. Now, there's another situation. The woman that was in the World Trade Center Building 1. I hadn't seen this picture until I happened to be cruising through the internet searching for things while I was talking directly to Mr. Johnson from England. And while I was looking, I was amazed and I saw a woman with blue jeans standing in the body of the building, World Trade Center 1, in the actual zigzag pattern that was like a hole with which they said the plane was able to go straight through, folks. And anyway, when I saw that, it was like, that's impossible too, because see, the footprint didn't make any sense on that too, because there was still steel left there, and there should have been plane remains somewhere there. There was nothing there shown there from the pictures that they gave us from the media on television and from people that allegedly were somewhere high up in the sky to take these pictures accurately for people to see. Again, that to me is questionable, as I do photography, and I know that you have to be at certain levels, and also it takes time. It's kind of like a gunfighter, okay, corral. You have a camera, and you see something, it's like, wow, I got to get a film of it. Now, you might have your cell phone, and by the time you manipulate your phone over to get to the level of the picture might be gone. Same thing with a cameraman with a camera. Unless he's actually aiming his camera and taking pictures at the time of an event and slides his camera to the event, the pictures are not going to be as clear or precise. There's going to be some blurring, focusing issues, or whatever. But these pictures I'm looking at, clear sky, while soot is coming down in some of them, and it still seems to be clear that you can see certain things that actually make no sense, that people were there to be able to take full coverage and full pictures of. Now, here's the problem I had with the whole thing. The woman standing in the area of the building. Now, Andrew had said to me that, oh, did you see that picture? Yeah, everybody was talking about it, and they said, oh, how could she stand in the building holding that metal if it was supposed to be that much heat build up in the building? Because at the time I had mentioned to him that I was told that it was supposed to be close to the half the heat of the sun. Then they were saying that the heat pattern went on for 3 days or more, and they said it was impossible for rescue workers to be able to stand in that area. Now, my question is, if that was the case, if that was a true case, then the thing is that no woman would have been able to withstand touching the metal part of the building that had been inflamed by a plane, unless she was burned. And if she was burned, she would move her hand. So how was she standing in the actual open area, exactly they showed us on TV, and not get burned, and not get hit by wind shears for whatever floor she was on? It was pretty high, and knowing and being in high-rise office buildings, the wind itself would have blown her back, or she would have blown out or something. Then the third thing was, if a plane went into the building, how would you be able to walk around the plane that is supposedly burning down into those biparticles. And you're able to survive and walk over to the crack of the building where the plane went through and stand there for a length of time until somebody had their camera able to fix on you as a person. That is totally, totally impossible. I don't care what anyone wants to say. I don't know what people are looking at, but logic tells you that there was something wrong with that picture. Now, I'm looking at another picture. Smoking area makes sense. You see a man flying out of the area of the burning building. But the thing is, too, I'm looking at the beams. Now, if a plane goes and enters into the building, again, there would be some remains of the plane. I don't see anything. I see black soot, smoke, flames, and then I see parts of the building kind of hanging towards a downward slope. And then I'm watching a man, and this man is flying out of the building like he came out of the area where this situation happened, and he's falling to his death. And the thing is that, again, I'm looking at this area. There's steel beams right there, still in fixed. And there's absolutely no way of seeing any airplane wing, section of the plane. Nothing's hanging down, nothing there showing any type of remains of a plane. Fourth, on this is the other thing. Now, if the plane hit this building, and knowing that the Boeing class planes, I don't care what you say, these planes are not designed to withstand being hit like that and not going apart. You know, if you have a solid plane traveling at 500 some miles an hour, the wing section, the actual in this case, the actual wings should have fell off somewhere, or should be some remains you can see somewhere. None of that. Don't see anything. You're just seeing burning. You're seeing intense smoke. You're seeing orange flames on a floor higher than where this plane allegedly came from. But these people coming out of this area where the plane allegedly went through and not showing any signs of this alleged high level heat makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Impossible, to say the least. Okay, now let's get past this scenario. Okay, we're already seeing a situation with these planes. We've looked at it all different types of ways. We've had people analyze and talk about 9/11 nonstop. Now let's go to the main plane, the secondary one. It scored around the building and hit the building and dissolved within it. Now, every one of these buildings they put up have load-bearing structures somewhere in the center design of the property. It's usually there because it's a support beam to hold up the building itself. This particular building was supposed to be able to withstand wind shears. It was supposed to be able to withstand any type of thing, including that of planes possibly hitting it. I'm looking at another picture of them actually putting up the steel beams to the building, and they were, steel beams that fixed themselves inside certain girders in the building. This, the thing I looked at that they were showing to me and designing for us to see was literally impossible to happen. The first thing I did when I started looking into 9/11, right after I figured out what was going on, here's the picture of the woman, in fact, I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at her as she is standing in the window of the Trade Center. Now, the thing is that this person that I'm looking at happens to be in the area. I'm telling you, she's holding onto a part of the beam. It seems like there's another person laying down there. She has long hair. She has a dark sweater on, her shirt, and could be tan or grayish pants. Now she's standing right at the very spot of where the plane went through. Again, I can't see this being possible. It's just impossible for that to happen like that. Totally. I listen to people, I hear what they say, and I look at things. As a journalist, I look at how things are put together. I've gone through forensic investigations on other things again, and this thing I'm looking at is just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no way this could have happened like this. Let me hold on. 1 second, sorry, about to sneeze. Here, let me look at one other thing here. Where I'm live on Spreaker, and we are also on Blog Talk Radio. We're on Blog Talk Radio right now, talking about the World Trade Center. Again, the issue of Randy being a person that was involved with the magician, how they made the World Trade Center vanish. When they, not the World Trade Center, but the Statue of Liberty vanish on one of these shows just before that. I'm looking at this as a possibility of some illusions used or some type of film being used, changed around in order to make this situation more palatable. I'm not saying the World Trade Center didn't go down. Don't get me wrong on that. But I'm thinking that there were other people involved in this as well. Let me go down to what I'm reading here. Now, there was a woman that was with the military, and she goes. She goes by the name Elizabeth Nelson. It says what really happened to Flight 93. Again, sorry about the noise in the background, but I'm in a place that there is noise, but I'm trying to explain what's going on, and I will put the audio on so that you can pick up when you go on the Blog Talk site. This was an interview made in February of 2009. It was by Bill Ryan with Project Camelot. He said earlier in the year, I was approached by a remarkably brave young woman who gave a presentation to him. And she had stated there was a decision that was made to shoot down United Airlines 93 over Shanksville, Pennsylvania on the morning of September 11, 2001. In the next 40 minutes, this courageous woman tells her story. It begins with a sequence of critical extracts which have portrayed dramatically a significant story. And it says, too, that for obvious reasons, Elizabeth Nelson, which is not her real name for her protection, but she is going to tell you her accountability under testimony here at this broadcast to tell you what she experienced working for the military. Now, it states here that Elizabeth Nelson, here is known as EN, had basically, it says, and so after I finished that leg of my training and I went to Fort Meade, I arrived there and had really planned to go home. 3 weeks into my time there, I was allowed to have leave, which I rarely had gotten. You don't know how much time you will get, basically, she says. And then September 11th happened. I was so angry that they didn't allow me to go home. On that day, I remember we were all in the morning, and in the morning we had to report to the hospital, just like any hospital, for preparing for a day. She said it was a routine day, normal day, and we had the morning patients preparing enemas and upper GIs. They drank their medication and were looking, and we were looking at their intestines. So it was some type of medevac unit, surgical unit. Now, I had talked to another woman that had told me something similar about what was going on during the time September 11th was happening in military, in hospitals. Now, listen to this. And then after these were done in the morning, one of the soldiers, this is a military hospital, by the way, who a more senior soldier, a specialist, I believe he was out in the lobby. He came back into the room where we were, and he said, "Holy, you know what? I just saw a plane crash into the Twin Towers." I just saw a plane crash into the Twin Towers. And the three of us said, "Really? That's strange." So we walked over to the front desk. Then she said, "Where you come in and check in for x-rays," that's where they were standing. And we stood there with him and two other soldiers, and we looked at the television, and all we could do is see the smoke coming out of the building. And at the moment I saw the next plane crash into the towers, then both towers were hit. We were all about just absolutely silent, you know, and we knew what it meant. This was intentional, she said. Now let me go down a little further here. I'm trying to read this in. Let's see. Potential. She said. Let's see. Da 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 da. She said here that the department, it was just a big hallway, and he was standing there, and he walked back, and there may have been 6 or 7 more people standing with them as they saw the planes crash the tower. One building was on fire. Yes, and as we stood there, we saw the second plane come, and then all of us, I think, there were like 4 of us standing there in the moment. Him, me, 2 or 3 other people, 2 others. It's hard to remember. We stood there and said, "Oh my God, that wasn't an accident. Something is happening." Let me go down a little further here. EN said, let me see where I want to get to the nitty gritty of this conversation here. Let's go down to this level. So after this, I believe it was the first sergeant of the hospital and commander. A first sergeant is in the sergeant ranks, and commander is of the officer ranking. The first sergeant of our department gathered us all together and told us that the soldiers that were stationed there, they needed to report to command center basically. And so all of the other departments of the soldiers, the nurses, nursing departments, the clerical administration department, everybody sent their base soldiers there, and I didn't see them anymore. So basically, the hospital was not fully active at that point. Everything was on hold. And then soldiers, my friends, later told me that there was a 24-hour duty shift on manning the gates and patrolling the surrounding areas. Now, let me go down a little further here. Let's see this one area that really was interesting about the planes that she had talked about. And I'm going to put the actual audio on for you to hear on one of my sites. Okay, let's go down to this level here. It says that it was also called the Raven Rock Military Complex and Central Site R Other designations and nicknames included the Rock, National Military Combat Center Reserve, Alternate National Military Combat, and Alternative Joint Communication Backup / Pentagon. This was about RRMC, the United States government facility in Pennsylvania. It was located 14 kilometers east of Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and 10 kilometers northwest of Camp David, Maryland. This is the point that I was trying to bring in. It says that this is the government housing place of representatives in Congress and all of them. It's not for people. It's for the government so that they can hide. Backup Pentagon Site, RT, the latter reference to the vast array of communication towers and equipment on top of a